Hello all, good morning. Can any one of you confirm? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. One second, let me change my settings. One second, guys. Let me check my audio settings. I hope you're able to hear me.
Yes, Sandeep, we can able to hear you.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Sandeep.
Let me share my screen back. Hello, guys. Good morning.
Good morning, Sandeep.
Before I start, I would like to know, did any of you attended the last class? That is the last weekend. Last weekend there was a demo. So did you guys join the demo, or is this the first time that you're joining this session?
With me, it's first time.
Okay.
Last week's video, I have seen it, Sandeep.
Okay.
Sir, video I have seen.
Okay.
Sir, I have also attended through recording session, sir.
Okay. Then let's do one thing. Let's start from kind of a demo thing. Let's start with the introductions. I'll introduce myself, and after that we can go one by one. And in introduction, I would like to know your name and what is the current job that you're doing, and what is the expectation. What is your expectation from this program? Okay. Hello all. This is Sandeep. I have been certified and working in SAP SuccessFactors since 2015. Almost. Sunil, can you go on? Sunil, can you go on mute? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have been certified in SAP SuccessFactors Employee Central module, WFA, that is Workforce Analytics and People Analytics. And I have been working on Employee Central and reporting module for the past 5 years. I have worked on different country clients like India, Singapore, Malaysia, US, Canada, Australia, and I had a good exposure. That is, I had a good working experience working on the clients coming from the different industries like manufacturing, pharmaceutical, public sector, utilities, telecom. So my primary skill set or my primary focus has been Employee Central, because once you get involved in Employee Central, it's kind of a bit of difficult to get out of it or to work on other modules, because Employee Central is a very vast module, and it consists of your core HR, time off, time sheet, benefits, reporting. So these are all the functionalities are covered under Employee Central module. That's the reason it's in demand, as well as you'll be spending a lot of time. That is, if a client has started working on the SuccessFactors project, they would be spending a lot of time on this module. So coming back to this program, the objective of this program is that when I started my SAP SuccessFactors journey, that is back in 2015, so I got myself trained and certified, let's say in 2014 itself. And after that, for me, it was a bit challenging and difficult to get started, that is to get a job and to get started working on the project, because theoretically I was good. I knew my concepts, and I knew how system would work and all those things. It was good, fine. But where I was lagging is that I wanted to know how could I apply my learnings, my training in the real world, that is in the real project. Fortunately, I had a good mentor, good friend, and with his guidance, I was able to clear that hurdle, and I was able to get my project as well as my job. That is my breakthrough in SuccessFactors. So coming from that experience, we thought, that is, we at MiNdLiNkS, we thought that everyone is getting trained, everyone is getting certified on SAP SuccessFactors. In fact, it's not only with SAP SuccessFactors, but if you take any other technology, it would be the same thing. Most of them are getting trained, they spend time and money on the training, and they get certified somehow, or sometimes they go through a rigorous training, and all those things is fine. But what they would lack, or what they wouldn't know, is that how can they apply the learnings or training in the real world. That is, once how the project would start, how the SAP SuccessFactors project would start, what are the steps or what are the things that work in the background before the implementation starts. So especially people coming from non-SAP background, they wouldn't know, whereas people who are from SAP background, that is people who have worked on SAP on-premise HCM, they would be, of course, very well aware about how things would work in the project. But people who are coming from non-SAP background and who want to enter in this space, they wouldn't know much about this. They would be knowing about how system works, what is Employee Central, what it can do and what it cannot do. It's good. That's your basics. But for you to start working on the real project, you need to be ready, because now in the market, if you start applying or if you start trying for a job as a fresher, there are very minimal chances that you will be getting a job in SAP SuccessFactors as a fresher. Because in market, you have a lot of people who actually know this stuff, who are still learning on job. So you can find that kind of people. It's not that I'm not saying that you will not find jobs as a fresher. You can still find, but the opportunities will be very less. So how do you prepare yourself for the project or for the job? So that is what we will be trying to cover in this program. And earlier also we have done. We have conducted a batch for a particular group of students. They were trained in Employee Central module. And after training, we did this program for them. With that program, that is after completing the program, they were not only able to crack the interviews, or they were not only able to clear the interviews. Apart from clearing the interviews, they were feeling confident and they were able to start working on the project from first day itself, without asking or without depending on others in their project. They were able to work independently. So that is our objective, or that is our aim, that our students should be industry ready. They should be able to work on the project from the first day itself, and they should be able to face the interviews confidently. That is what we are trying to do. So that is my objective of this program. Now, I do have an expectation from the people who would be attending this program. What is that expectation? I'll tell you later. So let's start with your introductions. Who would like to go first?
Here.
Sorry, I couldn't get your name. Hello?
Yeah, Ranjan. Yeah, Ranjan. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm Ranjan. Yeah. Hi, Sandeep. So good morning and good evening to everyone. So I'm Ranjan, and basically, I am into ASAP on premises, and recently I got certified into EC, and I'm taking coaching into ECP. And I heard from MiNdLiNkS, Probin introduced this ASAP Success Factor real-time project is going on. So I thought of it's the right time to get into this module, get experience and skills to be implemented later if I would be getting any opportunity. That's all from my end.
Okay, so you're from SAP.
Thank you.
You're from SAP HCM background, right? So on which modules you have worked?
I used to work in 10 modules, including payroll, time, then training and event management, travel management, recruitment, and OMPA, ESS messages.
Okay, that's good. That's very good experience. Thanks. Thanks for that. Who would like to go next? And guys, this would be an interactive session. This is not a training session wherein I'll be just speaking and you guys have to just listen. No, that's not how the session would run, because as I said, this is a real-time project. In a sense, we'll be discussing things. So when I say discussion, it has to be a two-way communication. So guys, please start speaking up, and let's continue with the introductions.
Hello, Sandeep.
Hey, hi, Sandeep. Hi. Who is this?
Sandeep, Madan is here. Madan here. I'm already having an SAP HCM experience on premise. In the month of February, I learned SAP Success Factor EC from Praveen. So just 2 months over, our course is over. So so Kumar said that they're going to start a real-time project, so that's why I'm attending. So I didn't much practice very well. I need to practice Success Factor. That's all. Right.
Thanks
Still, I need to.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying, and I can relate to it. And I think this is a perfect time for you to continue this program.
Okay.
So as once you are done with the instructions, I'll be explaining what we'll be covering, and yeah, it will be very useful to you because you are fresh out of the training and you will be remembering the concepts. And as you said, you have to spend time on the practice.
Yeah.
And if you work on these scenarios, I can assure you that you'll be feeling confident and you'll feel that you have practiced enough.
Yeah. Thank you, Thank you, Sandeep. Very much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, Sandeep. This is Sonia.
Yeah, Sonia, go ahead.
Yeah. So I come from non-SAP background, so I was looking for job change, and I have already got trained by Praveen into SAP EC. So this is a good opportunity to learn real time because I was bit of lacking knowledge in real-time experience. So I think this is a good opportunity to learn now.
Yes, I agree with you, Sonia. And you are from non-SAP background, so are you from HR?
I was working in recruitment for an year. Then now
Okay.
I'm on a different track. Now I want to
Okay.
get back onto HR.
Okay, it's a good thing. Thank you for that. And Krishna, you can go ahead now.
Good morning, sir. Myself is Krishna Rai.
You can call me
I am
Sandeep.
hello.
Yeah, you can call me Sandeep. I would prefer that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm from. I'm working with e-surveillance system as a technical support manager. My now I want to change that my uh, that same like as Sonia. Sonia said that na. I am from non-SAP background and I want to change that my field. I'm already taken the that training from that Kumar sir, no, that
Praveen?
Praveen sir last
Yeah,
year.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's why I'm joining this session for the practical knowledge. I have theoretical knowledge on that EC.
Okay. Got it, Krishna. Thanks for that. Who is next?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Sandeep, hi, good morning. I'm from Hyderabad. So I'm completely from a non-SAP background, but I have a good experience of 8 years in end-to-end recruitments. So my last company was in IT company, and I have done training with MiNdLiNkS in the month, last year actually. So I completed in December, and due to pandemic, I couldn't get any opportunities. So I was also trying for trainee, but I couldn't find any openings in the market now. But for many openings were there, but for experience, at least they were asking for 2-3 years of experiences. I think this would really help us to gain the knowledge of experience, I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what our aim is also, that to get you ready and to have a knowledge of 2 or 3 experience or consultant level of knowledge. That is what we are trying to do. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Next.
Morning, Mr. Sandeep. This is Morgan here. I'm working as HR manager. I completed my EC on 2015 with Mr. Praveen. After that, I didn't get chance to complete this, to practice this real-time project. So always I've coordinating with Mr. Kumar on this. So this, I think, this is the right time to run the real-time EC project.
Yes, Madan. So you are working as a
HR manager.
HR manager. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Hi, Sandeep. Good morning.
Hi, Sunil.
Yeah, I'm from Bangalore. I have around 8 years of overall experience, particularly in HR. Have around 15 years of experience. I was working as a chief manager HR in Continental Automotive, which is in the from the software center. I was implementation partner for R3 project for India, R3 HCM. Okay, so around 8 to 10 years in implementation and handling the HR projects I'm having. So I felt through this I could able to gain the projects and working in projects also. That's what my expectation.
Okay, thanks, Sunil.
Good morning, Praveen. Imran here. I'm from non-HR I'm from non-HR background and non-SAP background, and I'm working in banking sector, and I got trained in the EC module from Praveen.
Okay. Thanks, Imran.
Hi, I'm Raju. Hello.
Hi, Raju. Please continue.
Yeah, Yeah, I have a experience. I have a 3 years experience of HR, but I trained by MiNdLiNkS recently. I taken by EC MiNdLiNkS from Praveen. So I want to train by real-time EC project experience. Kumar sir said that's why I joined.
Okay, sure. Thanks. I think I think we are done with the introductions, right? Is anyone there?
Hi, my name is Maggie. I did I did my training in 2018. I was able to do a small. I got an experience in the testing part because it was a merger, so that was the role that I did in the SAP. I never got a chance to work along with the integrations, to embed the whatever training we had during the actual training session. So hopefully this would give me an experience real time when integrating other what do you say, like payroll, or is that what it is, or is it just EC implementation?
It's a EC implementation along with the, so during this EC implementation, Maggie, like what we'll be discussing is we'll be discussing the requirement and we'll be discussing the points or the steps that we have to consider while doing any EC implementation or with ECP or without ECP, and how you need to coordinate with the integration consultants. What is the information? So as an EC consultant, you don't have to necessarily work on the integration piece, because for that you'll be having a different set of people, at least for the initial. But of course, over a period of time, if you are keen and if you want to develop skills in integration, then for that also you can get trained and you can start working on that. But initially, when you're working as just as an EC consultant, there are a few things that from your side you can do. That is providing that kind of information, adding the integration consultant, like at which table or at which object they need to look to retrieve a certain kind of information. That role I'll be explaining, because you will be acting as a mediator between the client and the integration consultant.
Oh, okay.
To understand the client's requirement from like what is that they want to integrate and why do they have to integrate in first place, and then explain the same thing to the integration consultant so that they can build that technical aspect of it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, no worries, Imran. I hope you'll be able to sort out your network issues. So thank you. Thanks, guys, for the introduction. The purpose of this introduction was that I wanted to know people's background, that is, so that I can conduct my session accordingly. And now that we have a mixed group of people, that is people from SAP background and people from non-SAP background, now I would get an idea like how to run the session for today, so that everyone will get to know about the concept. And as I said, my expectation from each one of you would be that once we start this program, I would like you guys to spend some time on whatever requirements or whatever exercises we are going to do. Because if you guys are not able to spend time on it, then to be honest, I wouldn't see any benefit out of this program. So in this program, most of the time or most of the knowledge has to be spent by you, because as I said, you are the consultants. So what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a role play kind of thing. I'll be playing the role of client, wherein like I'll be giving you my requirement as a client. What is it I have? What is it you have to build in system? Now, as a consultant, you need to take down the requirement and then you need to start working on it. So before we start giving the requirements, what we'll do is, let's say if I'm giving the requirement on time of peace, it is on the absence management. We'll have a detailed discussion about the time off, how it works, what are the concepts in time off, and what are the factors that you need to consider when you're working on the time of peace. all this we'll discuss. After that, I'll be giving you the requirement. And you guys have to start discussing that requirement, first come up with a solution, and then build that solution into the system. Now, apart from playing the role of client, I will be there as a mentor, to give the guidance. Let's say when you have started doing a config, and if you have a doubt, saying that, okay, I'm not able to do this config, or if you're facing any error or any issue, I'll be there to guide. But in that also, let's say there are like certain 10 steps that you have to follow to create something or to config something. Out of 10 steps, I would expect you to perform at least 5 or 6 steps. Then we would discuss what were those steps and how did you follow those 5 or 6 steps. And if you're getting an error at 7th or 8th step, that is when I will be able to guide you. Of course, I can guide you from the start of the first step itself, but that wouldn't serve the purpose of the session. If you guys are spending time on the system, only then you will be gaining the confidence. Now, as a trainer or as a facilitator, I'm here to give you the requirement to discuss the solution, but the initiative has to come from your side. Because if you guys are not spending time on the system, then no matter what, whether it's Sandeep or any other trainer or any other session, even if a guy from SAP, directly from SAP comes and starts training, if we are not spending time, you won't get the confidence and you won't feel comfortable about the system. Okay, so that's my expectation. I would be expecting you guys to spend some time on the system and as well as on the requirements. Okay, so this is the object of our program. This is what I have explained just now, that what is that we are trying to achieve. And I think that is what even you guys want out of this session, which is good. That is, you want to be an industry ready. You want to start working on the projects confidently without depending on others with a minimal help. So what and how we'll be doing. So as I said, I'll be playing the role of client, facilitator, and you guys will be playing the role of project lead and the consultant. So what is that you will be learning and doing? So we start from the scratch, that is how to respond to an RFP, what is RFP, the people who are from non-SAP or non-IT backgrounds, then what is the scope of project, how to prepare for the employee central workshops, then how to conduct those workshops, and after conducting the workshop, how to discuss and how to design the solution, and then what is provisioning setup. So once you start working on a project, how do you get the access to the client instance? Then after that starts your configure the business requirement. Then once you are done with the business requirement config, how to conduct the iterations. What is the iteration? I'll explain later as we go further. Then how to conduct the UAT, that is in the UAT strategy, we will be discussing how to conduct an UAT. UAT stands for the user acceptance testing. What is UAT? Again, I'll explain further. Data migration, for the data migration, how to upload the data, what are the points that we have to consider while preparing the templates, how to make a user-friendly templates and how to walk through the templates for the client. Because for the clients, the SuccessFactors system would be a new. They would be looking at it for the first time. So they would like to understand how we have to fill the data in the templates. And then if there is an ECP, if there is an employee central payroll also in the project, then there would be another set of rules that we have to follow for data migration. Then the next one is instance synchronization. That is, once you start developing the config in a test system, how to move it to the production system, that is to the live instance. And during that phase, or that phase itself is called as cutover planning. We need to how do we, or what are the activities that we need to take care during the cutover planning. And after the go live, that is once the cutover activities are completed, once the data migration is completed in production system, how to manage the success factors upgrades. That comes under your release management. Any questions so far? Okay, I'll take that as no, and I'll move to the next. So what you will be getting in the business requirement. In the business requirement, we'll be covering all the topics of EC, that is all the functionalities of Employee Central. So when I say all the functionalities, now in the market, you will be seeing a few consultants who are like time off experts. So they will be just working on the time off part. It's not that they won't be aware about core HR, they would be aware, but they would be experts on the time off module only. Whereas there will be few other consultants who will be experts on benefits module or timesheet. But if you ask me, as an employee consultant, or as an employee central consultant, you should be knowing all the functionalities of EC. That is when it will be easy, as well as it will be an added advantage to your resume to get a job in the market. And to understand EC as a module, that is as a whole complete module, it's better if you start learning and exploring all the functionalities. So in this one, in this program, we'll be looking at the client's org structure, that is how to set up foundation objects, what are the MDF foundation objects, do we require a custom MDF object, if there is a requirement for creating a custom MDF object, how we have to create. And then in the employee data, we'll be seeing how to configure the required and mandatory fields, and how to write business rules, how to control the visibility of the fields depending on the other fields. So these kind of scenarios we'll be covering. Then event and event regions and workflows, how to trigger the workflows using the business rules, what are the different kind of event and event regions, what is the difference between event and event region. Those kind of things we'll be discussing. And as I said, like business rules for the different scenarios. Then comes your alerts and notifications for position management. Then if you have to create a custom screen, that is a customized screen for a particular employee to capture a certain requirement, how do you approach that kind of requirement, and how do you configure? Then time off. Okay, here I'm saying 3 countries, but let's say if you have 6 people who are joining this program, then we will be discussing the time off requirement or any of the requirements for 6 different clients or for 6 different countries. Then comes your role-based permissions, and the next one would be document generation. Timesheet is not mentioned, but I'll be covering the timesheet as well, and benefits. So these are the requirements, and these are the topics that we'll be covering. Okay. So now, if you remember at the start of the session, I said that after completing this course, you will be industry ready and you will be working. You can work independently. And I think, as Maggie said, that in market, the companies or the employers are looking for the consultants who have at least 2 to 3 years of experience. Now, how can you justify or how can you fill that gap is, let's say now Maggie will be given a requirement for one country, for the one client, and whereas Sunil and other guys will be given a different requirement. So let's say Maggie will be doing the config or handling the requirement for Singapore country, whereas Sunil might be working on India country, and Madan, he might be working on US country. So in this way, what will happen is each of one of you will be given a unique and a different kind of requirement. So once you get your requirement, each one of you have to discuss what is the requirement that has been given to you, and then discuss the solution that you have to configure. And once you configure the solution, you have to do a walkthrough of the system. That is, you have to walk through the solution that you have configured in the system. That is nothing but conducting your iterations. So by following this steps, during this process, what will happen is whatever Maggie has worked on, that is, whatever Maggie has worked for the Singapore country requirement, Madan, Sunil, and other guys would be knowing the requirement of Singapore and how it has been configured and what has been done in the system. So once you have that kind of exposure, so even though Sunil is working on India country, he would be still knowing what is happening with the Singapore country requirement. In the same way, Maggie would be knowing what is happening with the India country requirement. So in this way, you will be getting your exposure to different kind of scenarios and for different kind of business requirements. And that is how you can mention, or you can tell, or you can confidently answer in your interview saying that, okay, this is what I have worked on for this country, but whereas for India also, I have worked on a different kind of requirement. And that is what the employers would be looking also. Any employer, if you think from employer's point of view, they wouldn't want a consultant who just has worked on one particular country. They would like to have a consultant who has exposure to different implementations or for different country requirements. So that's the plan that we'll be following. Any questions so far?
No, Praveen.
Okay, thanks.
So Sandeep, we will have the access of the application access to work on this?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
We'll be given the requirement and system access to work on.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. But before I go into further details, any questions or any doubts or any issues about how this program would work or run? Or in fact, if you have any suggestions also, you can give that. I'm open to suggestions as well. Okay. If you don't have now, also it's fine. But further, after some time, if you have any questions or any suggestions, you can let me know. So I'll start with a bit of a background about the implementations, how it would work, and then we will dive into the other topics. So for any SAP SuccessFactors implementation, SAP recommends the SAP Activate methodology. In this one, this methodology is a bit, let me try to, yeah. So SAP SuccessFactors takes a unique and cost-effective approach to implementation. In this active methodology, there is a focus on short-term implementation services, which are designed to assist the client's requirement. Yeah, sorry. So in this methodology, we'll be looking at what are the different phases that involve in the SAP Active methodology and how it is helpful to the client. So this methodology consists of 4 phases and certain tools which we need to follow as a partner. Now, this is what SAP recommends, but it doesn't mean that we have to follow each step by step and word to word. A few of the partner companies. So when I say partner, SAP is an independent company. To work with SAP, companies like Deloitte, Infosys, Accenture, IBM, Cognizant, they'll partner with SAP and say that, okay, fine, we will act on your behalf, that is on SAP's behalf, and they can implement this SAP SuccessFactors application for the clients. So most of the implementations are done by the partner companies, the ones which I mentioned, but there are a few implementations which SAP would like to work on. But again, it depends on the client. If they have to hire or if they have to take SAP as the implementation team, then that would be a bit pricey. That is, it will be bit more expensive. compared to partner implementations. But yeah, but even SAP will be doing those kind of services as well, but it's very in a limited space or for the limited clients. So as I said, like throughout this SAP Activate methodology, there will be key milestones. Now, what is a milestone? We will discuss later. There will be a review of each milestone where the customer has to accept and has to sign off on the requirement or what has been agreed. So as I said, there are 4 pages in SAP Activate methodology. So this topic might be a bit theoretical, but it's good to know information. That's the reason why I'm covering this. So in this one, the first phase is prepare phase. Then the second is explore, realize, and deploy. In prepare, you will be doing a product preparation, and you'll be getting the access to the system. Whereas in explore, you will prepare a sprint plan. Now, what is sprint plan? We'll look later. Then do a config values. Then if there are any gaps, you'll be closing it. Then you will be doing a validation of the solution that you have configured and discussed. Then in realize phase, you'll be doing a config. Then after that, walkthrough. The walkthrough is nothing about your iterations. So walkthrough iterations both mean the same. That is, you have to show the system to the client how it has been configured. Then you need to discuss the data migration. After that, conduct the unit testing, that is UAT. Once UAT is signed off, you go to the deploy phase and then cut over and the preparation for the go live. Now, this is a typical EC implementation. Now, if you have a EC payroll with the EC implementation, there would be more steps involved. Now, what are the steps involved? I will discuss once I go into detail into each of the phase. So in prepare phase, now what SAP recommends is that it's better to start with a discovery session with the client. So in prepare phase, what you'll be doing is you will be conducting a small workshop, a session with the client to understand what is their current HR business processes. That is, how do they initiate the new hiring? How do they initiate the transfer of the employees? What are the different HR processes they have? You'll be doing a session of those in which you will be not speaking much about the system. That is, you will be not speaking much about SAP SuccessFactors system, because you would like to understand what is their current HR business process and how can you help or how can you put those HR business process in the new system, that is in the new SAP SuccessFactors system. This is what you'll be doing. So what will happen, benefits of this session is that one thing is during this session, we'll get to know the client's requirement in detail. And in case of any gaps, first thing, in case of any gaps, that is, let's say the client is expecting the system to be configured in a certain way, and if they have a very complex requirement and if it is not met by Employee Central module, then as a consultant, you can start discussing or you can start thinking for any other workarounds, so that when you start conducting the workshop, you can explain to the client saying that, okay, this is your requirement, it's a bit complex, only 70% can be met, whereas the 30%, maybe there would be a requirement or there would be a need for the manual intervention, which would help you to conduct your workshop smoothly, and which it should help the client also to set their expectations right. So apart from the discovery session, you will be identifying the project team members from your side, that is from partner side as well. And at the same time, even the client needs to identify the project team members, because in the project, once you have a requirement, and once you analyze and once you design the solution, someone from the client team has to have a look at the solution and has to agree, saying that, okay, this is what we want in the system. Only then you can start doing the config. Without the client acceptance of the solution, there is no point of view, or in fact, you even shouldn't start doing the config. So for those kind of things, now as I said, like if there are any gaps or any system limitations, and if you come up with a workaround, someone from the client project team has to take a decision and has to give an approval. So for those things, it's very important to identify who are the key stakeholders, who are the key team members who are going to make a decision and give the approval. This is very important because if you don't know this, then it will be a very, very tedious job because you would be behind, like, let's say 2-3 members to get your approval. So it's better at the start of the project to identify one or at the max 2 persons and keep them as a key stakeholders. And then apart from those things, your project manager will be planning few activities. That is, your project manager will be having a discussion with the client's project manager about the project plan, what are the key dates and key milestones. That is, by this date, the workbooks have to be signed off. Then there would be a milestone wherein the first iteration would be, the date for the first iteration would be agreed. Then after that, how much of config or how much of the solution has to be shown in the first iteration, and when would be a second iteration. Those kind of activities will be planned by your project manager with the coordination of client's project manager. And then in this phase, you will be getting the access to the cloud system. Now, how to get the access to the client's instance, we will look into it. So this is what we have discussed in the prepare phase. Now in the explore phase, you will be doing the same thing. You will be looking at the requirements of the client. You will be putting the requirements in a proper documentation, and you will be start reviewing that. And if the client is proactive, or even from your side, what you can do is you can start initiating the discussions around the data migration. So because especially for the clients who are coming from the non-SAP background, for them, most of the times it's a bit difficult to understand the SAP system, and it's a bit difficult for them to give the data in the SAP SuccessFactors format. So just to avoid any delays in the project, what you can do is you guys can start initiating the data migration discussion, so that in case of any challenges or issues, client would be aware and they would start working on it. Then in the explore phase, you will be looking at the data integrations also. That is, you will be checking with the client about the integrations. That is, if they have any third-party integrations with Employee Central module, if they have, then in which format or in which file format the SuccessFactors system has to generate the data. And at the same time, you need to make sure that whatever data fields are required for the particular integration, those are existing in the SuccessFactors system. So this is explore phase. Once that's done, you'll be moving into the realize phase. In this phase, you will be preparing the workbooks. Now, what are workbooks and how do they look? We'll see later. We'll be putting the client's requirement in the workbooks. Now, these workbooks are a bit tricky. Sometimes it's client's responsibility who have to fill up the workbook. Actually, that's what even SAP recommends, that it's the client who should be filling up the workbooks. But most of the time, client's expectation would be that we are new to the SAP system, or we are new to the SAP world. We don't know how these workbooks work. So why don't you, that as a consultant who are very familiar with these workbooks, as you have been working on the project, you must be familiar, and they would expect you to fill up the workbooks for them, and they will review, and then they will sign off. So it depends on the agreement between the partner company and the client. But in my experience, most of the time, it's consultant who will be filling up the workbook, and clients will be having a look at it, and then they will sign off. This sign off is very, very important in the project, in the implementation project, because based on the sign off only, you as a consultant can do the config. Without the sign off, you won't be able to proceed further. So once that is done, you will be doing the config in the system. That is, you will be discussing the solution with the client, and you will be doing the config of that solution. Once that is done, you will be doing the walkthrough. Now, in this walkthrough, so what is walkthrough or what is iteration? So let's say if a client, anyone from SAP or non-SAP background, they would be new to the SAP SuccessFactors system. They might be using SAP HCM on-premise or any other third-party application. It could be Oracle or any other, or Workday or any other HR application. So for them, SuccessFactors would be new, and they wouldn't be aware like how system would look and how system works. So without looking at the system in detail, they would be giving you the requirement for the first time. Before the sign off, they would be giving you the requirement, right? So at that time, they wouldn't be able to visualize how system would work. So what we have to do is, once we've done a config of the solution, let's say at least 50% of the config, we have to walk through the client through the system so that they are aware and they can visualize and they can see how system would work after go live. So let's say during the new hire action, they have certain requirement, how the system should trigger the workflow or to whom it should go. Those kind of things we need to show in the system, that is during the first walkthrough, during the first iteration. Now, how it would help client and you is that after the walkthrough, if the client is happy and if he's able to relate, saying that, okay, this was my requirement and this is what it has been configured, it's well and good. It's an easy job for you, it's an easy thing and it's a good thing for you as well as for the client. In case if the client says that, okay, I was not aware that the system would work in this way, but this is not what I need as a client, I was expecting so and so thing, or that is missing from the system. Or maybe it is there, but it's working in a different way. So in that case, you need to again discuss what is their expectation or what is their actual requirement and how it should work. And then you guys, that is as a consultant, you need to make the changes in the system. So that's the reason the first walkthrough is very, very important, so that it depends on this walkthrough, how the remaining activities would go. That is, how the second walkthrough will go, and if there is any major change in the requirement, then do we have to assess or do we have to reschedule the project plan? These kind of decisions we have to take. In most of the cases, if you ask me, earlier at the start of the SAP SuccessFactors time, I mean, at the very initial stages, clients were not able to give the exact requirement. We had to go through the multiple iterations to get the exact requirement. But now, like once we have followed this discovery session or the discovery phase, it is helping the client as well as the consultants to understand the exact requirement, and even the clients would get an opportunity during the discovery phase to discuss in detail how the system would work and how the solution has to be configured. So you will be conducting all your 3 iterations. So SAP recommends to conduct 3 iterations, that is 3 walkthroughs. So let's say in the first walkthrough, you'll be showing 50% of the solution. And then after that, in case of any changes or requirement, you will note down and you will work on that. And apart from that, you need to complete the remaining 50. So out of 50, let's say we will be completing more, an additional 30%. So 80% of config, once it's completed, you have to do a walkthrough of the second of the solution, that is called a second iteration. And once that is done, the remaining 20% is to be covered in the third iteration. So once you are covered with the 3 iterations, you will be covering all the complete walkthrough of the session of the system, that is a solution, and then you will be preparing for the user acceptance testing, that is for the UAT. Then once you are done with your UAT, that is in the earlier phase, once you're done with your UAT, and so during the UAT also, the clients will be doing a thorough testing of your solution and the system config. And if they find any defects, which will be, in most of the cases, there would be the defects, or there would be a slight gap in terms of understanding the solution. Now, again, you as a consultant, you need to close on those gaps, or if there are any defects, genuinely, then you need to close them. And once you fix those defects in the system, client would do a retest. And once the retesting is done, once all the defects are closed, it means that the UAT is completed, and then you can move on to the cutover activities. Now, in cutover activities, it's again, cutover activities itself has a long list of activities that we need to follow, but we'll be looking at it later as and when we go to that phase. So once cutover activities are performed, you need to do the data migration as well. Again, it will be part of cutover activities. Once it is done, now here there would be a few activities which we don't have to do. That is, as a EC consultant, it won't be our responsibility, whereas it would be a responsibility of change management. But now, as a EC consultant, you should be aware about what is change management and how it impacts your activities. So in most of the companies, clients who are from the non-SAP background, even if they are from SAP background, they would be using a certain system, right? So let's say if they're using a Workday. Now, if a company which has a employee count of, let's say, 5,000, if they were using Workday earlier, and now if they are moving to SAP SuccessFactors, then it will impact this total group of 5,000, right? Not just the HR team, but apart from the HR team, even all the 5,000 employees would get impacted, right? Because the way they apply the leave, it would be a different in SuccessFactors compared to Workday. The screen would look different. There could be a new data fields in SuccessFactors, which may not be known by the employees. So for them to for them to make ready for the system adoption, that is for the adoption of the new system, which is SuccessFactors Employee Central, employees need to be trained. They need to be made aware, saying that, okay, this is our system and this is how you were supposed to do. That is, applying leave or submitting the expenses was in a certain way. But now with the new system, the process might look a bit different, and this is how you have to follow the steps, and then you will be able to apply a leave. So this kind of communication will be done in change management. So as I said, it's the responsibility of the change management team. They will be driving these sessions with the client's key team members and with the client's employees. They'll be conducting these sessions. They'll be preparing the materials for them in a more interactive and understandable way. Now, when change management is preparing the material, you as a EC consultant need to inform them that, okay, earlier to apply a leave, there was a 5-step process, but now in the new system, in the Employee Central, applying a leave is just a 3-step process. So there's a change that you need to communicate, that is saying that, okay, earlier this was process, but the new process is just a 3-step process, and this is how the screen would look, and this is how the employee has to log in and apply. So once you tell, and once you just show the change management team, they will do some screenshots and they would prepare the material. But as the Employee Central consultant, it's your responsibility to inform the change management team whenever or wherever there is a change in process, especially in the key processes. You need to inform them, and you need to help them with the preparation of the material. Any questions so far? Okay, I'll take it as a no. Yeah. So guys, before I move on, once again, do you have any questions or anything that you would like to discuss?
In one of your slides, you said you had we need to talk about governance. So when you say governance, is it with regard to your environment? Is that what you're referring to?
It's overall project governance, Maggie, which would include your system governance as well.
Okay.
Okay, so as a product manager, they would need to follow the key activities, and they need to track the status of the project status, that is the project, and they need to report the status to the key stakeholders, to the steering committee members, so that the higher management is aware how the project is running, is it on track, or are they behind schedule, or in case of any challenges or in case of any major issues, the higher management need to be aware of it. And then that's one type of governance. Now, as a EC consultant, you would be responsible for maintaining the three different. Now,
can you repeat that?
Yeah. As a EC consultant, sorry. Hey Ajay, can you go on mute? Once again,
I am on mute. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you are on mute, but the other guy is not on mute. So, yeah, thank you. So, Maggie, yeah. Now, as a EC consultant, from your side, you will be playing a part in the governance as well. That is, now each and every employee central customer, they will be getting 3 instances. Now, again, this I wanted to discuss in detail later, but I can give an overview for now. Each and every employee central customer will be getting 3 different instances. There is 3 different system of SAP SuccessFactors. One is called development. The second would be the test instance, and the third would be the production. Now, as a consultant, you are responsible for maintaining the same config in all 3 instances. Initially, at least the first 2 instance, that is in the dev and in the UAT or in the test instance, the config needs to be same. So that is your part, or that is your contribution for the governance. Apart from the system, you need to maintain the documentation as well, so that in case of any discussions or in case of any disagreements with the client, you would have a proof to, or you would have a document to fall back and say that, okay, this is what was the requirement and this is what we agreed the solution would be. And that's why we have configured in a certain way. Any more questions? Okay. Then I'll take it as a no and move on to the next. So I have one more, I wanted to cover 3 more topics today. So before that, do you guys want to take a 2 minutes break? A quick 2 or 5 minutes break? I almost have another 30 to 40 minutes, at least 30 minutes Yeah, I would at least need 30 minutes to discuss the further topics. So before that, do you want to take break, or do you want to guys continue?
Continue, Praveen.
Continue? Okay.
Continue, Sandeep, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, then I'll continue with the. Yeah. So the next one is provisioning, but before that, I would like to speak about RFP and how it works. Especially, this would be helpful for the people who are from non-SAP background. So RFP stands for the request for proposal. Now, let's say as a client, let's say a company called as Pepsi, they would like to implement SAP SuccessFactors, but for them, as a company, they would be following a bid process. That is, they would give a chance, or they would invite companies like the SAP partner companies like Deloitte, Accenture, Infosys, PwC, these companies to come and bid for the project. And during the bidding process, then the Pepsi company would do a evaluation of the bids about like saying, okay, as a Infosys, this is what the company is offering, the price, and what are the tools or implementation methodology that they have followed, and what are the previous projects that they have done. They would consider and they would review this kind of information from each partner company. And then Pepsi as a company, as a client, they would be taking a decision saying that, okay, this is the company that we would like to go for the implementation of SAP SuccessFactors. So now what is your role in this one? So once any partner company receives the RFP, there will be their sales team, that is, let's say, sales team of Infosys. They will reach out to the solution architect or the consultants of SAP SuccessFactors. Let's say if the client is only implementing Employee Central, then they would reach out to a solution architect or to an Employee Central consultant to get a review about the Employee Central consultant specific questions. Now in RFP, client will be having a certain set of questions which would be related to the SAP implementation methodology, and which could be related to the system itself. So you as a consultant need to answer the questions which are related to the SAP SuccessFactors system. So client might ask you saying that how would the accruals work? Does the system support daily accrual? Or how flexible it is in reporting? How flexible it is in timesheet? These kind of questions you will be getting. Now, once you have enough exposure and experience with the Employee Central module, you will be able to answer those questions. So that is the role you will be playing in the RFP. So once your company submits the RFP, as I said, client will do evaluation of all the RFPs or bids, and once they decide saying that okay, we would like to go with Accenture for the implementation, then the Accenture team would conduct a session, product team orientation, wherein we will be introduced to the client, saying that okay, these are the consultants and these are the product managers that they'll be working on a project for so and so time. And once that is done, you guys will start discussing or conducting the discovery session as we discussed earlier. So once that is done, you will be getting the access to the system. So that is nothing but your provisioning setup. So how will you do the provisioning setup? Before that, just I wanted to inform that Now, in our program also, that is in our training session, we'll be following the 4 phases of this implementation that we have discussed earlier: prepare, explore, realize, and deploy. We'll be following, or we'll be running the program in that manner, the same manner, so that we'll get exposure to the overall project knowledge. So as a consultant, the first step would be your discovery session, I think, which will take in the next class. In the next class, you guys need to do a discovery kind of session. So you guys need to come up with a list of questions that you can ask the client. So for the starters, let's see what you come up, and then I can give you my point of view, saying that these are questions that you have to ask to the client so that you are aware, or you can get the exact kind of requirement. So for now, I'll continue with the provisioning setup. So in the provisioning setup, so what is provisioning before that? Can any of you guys explain or tell me what is provisioning? Come on, guys. As I said, this is an interactive session, and from now on, before I explaining any topic, I would ask you guys to explain or give your inputs on the particular topic. Only then it will be interactive. That's one thing. And second thing, in that way, I'll be knowing how much of input or how much of knowledge you have about a particular topic. And in that way, I can explain and I can go. I mean, I would be knowing that how much in depth I have to go about a particular topic. Okay. So let's say if you are already aware about provisioning, then we don't have to spend much time on this topic. I can explain you the key points and then we can move on to the next topic. So please let me know what is provisioning.
It is back in the provisioning. What are the modules the clients wants to implement in success factor? So in the provisioning, we will activate all those things to do the configurations for the consultants.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's correct, Madan.
Correct.
But okay. Apart from that, what else?
Language, selecting of languages.
Okay.
And models, what are the models is required by the client.
Mm-hmm.
It consists of the settings, and as per the client requirements, we can do the settings in provisioning.
Okay. No, but what kind of settings?
Like company profile setting, then requirement setting, probably language setting, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And as a consultant, what is that you will be more doing apart from setting up or apart from doing the config of settings? What is that you will be doing?
Setting up the IDs, use admin, setting up the user IDs.
Okay.
Sandeep, sorry for interrupting.
Creating the super admin.
Enabling the models.
Yeah.
So HRS
provisioning. Yeah, provisioning system is the backend system where the place we can configure all the settings for each instance, and application enable and disable, and your data models, and we can also upload and like data migrations, we can it will be taken place there, and language setup and language package, and third-party integrations will be taken place there.
But what data migrations will be taken place?
We will be getting templates by importing, exporting, and your iteration templates, where we can upload that.
So when you say template, do you mean
templates and all the templates, right?
What template?
Giving role-based permissions.
Okay. Let's go one by one. So when you say template, right? What kind of template? Are you referring to data migration template?
Yeah. Data migration template. Am I right?
No, I'm not sure what is right or
will
wrong. We'll discuss that later. You guys can just continue what you know about provisioning, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, and something was there about role-based permissions?
Yeah, RBP.
Okay, but what we'll do about RBP? And do we just set up or do we create role-based permissions in provisioning?
No, we will set up there, and whether we can like view or edit or something. So we will set up the roles for employees or admins to be edited or viewed.
Okay.
And we can do like
associate.
Okay. All this is fine.
And we can also upload XML data.
Okay. Fine. First, let me ask you one basic thing. As a consultant, how will you get access to this provision?
Has to be created.
Sorry? Sorry, I didn't get that. Can you repeat? Well, give it a try. No worries. Whatever you know, you can just say. If it's right or wrong. Don't worry about that. So, how do we get access to the provisioning as a consultant? How do we get that?
I think we have a self demo team.
We have a self demo.
We have a link where that super admin will give the super admin will give the link access to us. But before that, we will put across a mail to SAP to get the share our IDs, and once we will get approval from the client, we will attach that document to we will share this document to SAP. So once it will be done, then we will get a confirmation mail from SAP, and after some days, we will get that username and password. Like that, we will get that system admin ID. Then after that, we will from system admin, they will give the access to creating instance ID and provisioning ID to work on.
Okay, now you guys can go on mute. I can explain about the provisioning. Sorry, this is disturbance. You guys go on mute. And then, yeah, thanks. Yeah, so the answers that you have given, those are like partially correct. Most of them are correct, in fact, but it would be helpful if you know about provisioning and how to set up the client instance access. And there are a few incorrect answers as well. So first, let me start provisioning. In provisioning, you will be setting up or you will be enabling the settings for your respective module implementation. So let's say in Employee Central, now you guys are Employee Central, and if you're working on Employee Central implementation, there are a few settings that you have to enable. Those settings will be enabled by you, the provisioning. Now, what are those settings? We'll look into it later. So, for example, in Employee Central, let's say the client just wants to use time off but not timesheet. Then in that case, you don't have to enable timesheet. You have to just enable time off, and that is done in the provisioning. Let's say if the client wants to use time off and timesheet but not benefits, then that kind of setting will be in the provisioning. Okay. Second thing is about getting the access. So now once you guys are certified from the SAP SuccessFactors, you will be eligible for your provisioning access until unless you're certified, you won't get this provisioning access. Once you're certified, only then you will be able to gain the access for the provisioning. Now, once you get the access to the provisioning, and once you log in, you will be not seeing any customer instance mapped to your provisioning. So each consultant that is each certified consultant will be having access to the provisioning, right? So their provisioning access has to be mapped to the client's instance. That is done from your side. That is, you have to request or you have to raise a request from the client team saying that please approve my access for setting up the provisioning. Now, how to raise or what kind of form you need to use or what kind of format that's there in this document. It's just nothing but your provisioning ID, your email address, that is your company email address, and those kind of details. And you need to give the company ID that you want to map to your provisioning. Now, what is the company ID and all those things we'll look into it later, the technical aspects. Once that is done, once you get an approval, you will raise a request. Now, you will not send email to the SAP for getting the access. You have to log in into this website that is called as hcmcloudops.successfactors.com. You need to log in into this. Now, once you log into this, you will, for this one, that is for you guys need to log into this website, you need to have an SUSER ID. Now, what is the SUSER ID? It's nothing but an SAP ID. Once you are certified or once you register on the SAP website, you'll be getting your own SUSER ID. With that, you will be able to log into this website as well. Once you do, you will be able to request for a demo instance. You will be able to raise a request for the mapping of client's instance to a provisioning ID. In case if you don't have provisioning access, you can raise a request for getting the provisioning access as well. Now, while raising this kind of request, system or there is a prerequisite wherein like you have to upload your certification. So let's say if you are raising a request for a customer instance and for employee center module, then system would ask you to upload your certification document. And once you select the module, system will verify your SUSER ID against the SAP system, and it will check, are you really certified? Or even if you're certified, is your certification still valid and active? If it is expired or if you're not certified, then the system wouldn't allow you to raise a request. So that is a process for getting the provisioning access. So as I said, this is what we will be trying to cover in this program. Now you would be knowing the concept, like as you guys have answered, what is provisioning, what we will be doing the provisioning and all those things. It's fine, it's good. But before that, there is a step one. We'll be covering about those steps so that you guys, once you are on a project, you would be knowing what you have to do or from where you have to start. So that is what is provisioning setup about. Now, apart from enabling the settings for the particular module, you can export and import the data models. So what are data models? Of course, I'll be asking questions, but for now, SAP does deliver a template or data models. That one we have to upload so that we can start doing the config. And coming to the RBP, we'll be just enabling the RBP. In fact, if you're using or if you're getting the customer instance access now, that is, I need to say like currently, SAP does enable few settings and give it to you. So in that one, RBP will be activated already. You don't have to activate again. You have to just make sure that it is already checked out or it's already activated. So once that is done, you will be saving the company settings. Now, once you save the company settings, you got the access to the provision. It's well and good. But how do you log in into the client's instance? As you said, you have to create a user ID for yourself, which is called as super admin. Once you're done with that, you will be able to log into the client instance. Now, let me ask you one thing. What will happen once you create a user ID, the provisioning? What are the permissions that user will get? The permission that user will become a super admin. That's clear. You have answered. But what will happen to that user? What are the other additional permissions that user will be getting? Can anyone explain that? Okay. I'm sure you might be knowing the answer for this question. It's just you have to recollect, because this is a very, very basic thing. As a consultant, you should be knowing. So you guys need to just try to recollect. Maybe after some time again, we'll revisit this question. So far, any questions about how to set up or how to gain access to the provisioning?
To answer that, is it resetting the user like password? Is that
no?
Oh, okay.
No, take your time. But we will definitely revisit this question. But any questions so far about the provisioning setup? How to gain the access? Or so now, after this program, you should be able to know that to gain an access, you need a customer approval. Once you get the approval, you need to log into this website and you need to raise a request with SAP for the client's instance access. Okay, is it clear? Once that is done, I can show you how this website looks. So this is how the website would look. You need to click on login. So as I said, you need a user ID. Once you have an user ID, once you log in with your user ID, this is what the home page would look. So for raising a request, you have to click on operation request. Here you will be seeing the list of forms. There is a request forms. And you will be selecting this one, that is customer instance access request. Once you select on that, okay, I think I don't have further screenshots, but once you select, once you click on that link, you will be able to see the details that you have to provide, like your first name, last name, email, company email ID, and then the company instance ID. There is a client's instance ID that for which you want access, and the module which you want to enable. Those kind of settings will be there. Once you select, your request will be submitted and you'll be getting an access within a maximum of 1 day. It should not take even 1 day, but a maximum of 1 day, you should be able to gain your access. So that is what I wanted to cover in today's session. In next session, we will be looking at the business requirement, and then we'll be looking at the workbooks, from where we can download the workbooks, what are the different kind of workbooks that are delivered by SAP, and we'll be discussing about the org structure and other topics in the next session. So in the next session, we will look at the preparation for EC workshops. As a consultant, how can you prepare? And once the preparation is done, we'll have a small and brief discussion on the discovery phase. Once that is done, we'll start looking into the requirements. Any questions? Any questions or any suggestions? Please let me know.
So, Sandeep, while doing the configuration, as you earlier suggested, that if you will be getting an opportunity for multiple countries, you may say like 2 or 3 countries. So we will be configuring 2 to 3 countries, or we will individually configuring one, and we will share this information, or we'll share with other our trainees then regarding this, or how is it?
You will be getting one country and a unique requirement. So let's say you will be not getting the same requirement what Maggie or Sunil has got, or Madan. It will be different. Because for you to work on the one country requirement itself, it will take a bit of time to understand the concept and how to do the config as you're doing it for the first time. So once you are done with the one country requirement, of course, if you are interested, you can take the requirement of a different country and start doing the different country requirement as well. More than welcome to do. It's only that, I would like to be practical. I don't want to overpromise. As you will be doing it for the first time, it takes some time for you to grasp the concept and to understand how the functionality works.
So will it be helpful for us to like? So in this case, will it be helpful for us to make a group so that we can share, like while configuring, like most of the cases we will not be getting you. So in our friends group, we can share like how to do and what not to do and what to do while configuration, or how is it like it's better for us?
That one we'll be discussing in the class itself. Here, like once you get a requirement, right?
Okay.
So let's say in the next session, what we'll be doing is we'll be looking at the preparation of the workshop and how to get your workbooks from where you have to download. Okay, and then what I can do is I can give the requirement for two of the members. Okay, and these 2 members in the next class, that is in the 3rd class when we meet, they will start discussing the solution. And at the same time, I'll be giving the requirement for other countries as well. We'll plan out. Not to worry about that. You'll get to know what they are configuring and what is the solution that they are following. Okay.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, but for that to happen, you need to spend time. I'm telling you because I do understand that we have our day-to-day jobs. Even I have my own regular job apart from that. But yeah, we have to do something different if we want to kickstart on this. You guys need to spend time. That's the only thing. Because in past I have seen people are very excited at the start. They do start and all those things is good. But sometimes few of them, I'm saying not most of them, few of them, they won't be able to keep up because of the day-to-day job. But yeah, somehow we need to take out some time so that we'll start getting the value of this program. Okay. You guys can definitely have a offline kind of discussion, but my suggestion would be that is like to answer Hiren's question. He was saying that is it possible or is it good for you guys to form a group and then discuss the solution and then do config? You guys can do, but maybe for initial things, it's better if you do as a group in my presence, so that if there's something wrong, I can correct then and there, and we can do the right thing instead of discussing the wrong solution and putting in the system and then discussing. I would prefer first we discuss as a group, then agree, and then do the config in the system.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, any more questions?
What is the time frame for this this project-based class?
Good question, Maggie. So, in past, like what we have done is we have taken the classes on Saturday and Sunday, and after that you'll be given like 2 days of time. That is Monday, Tuesday, and again on Wednesday evening. That is Wednesday evening India time. We will be catching up, and we'll see. We'll have another 1 hour or 1.5 hour of session to see how things are progressing from your side, or if there are any issues or challenges we can discuss on the Wednesday session. Then again, after that, we'll be meeting Saturday, Sunday, wherein we'll be having a brief session, wait for a longer time, so that you guys will get time, ample time to work on the scenarios, to work on the system config. So let's say now Saturday, Sunday, we have discussed a requirement. Then on Monday, Tuesday, you can start looking into it. You can start doing a configuration for that. And if you have any questions, we can discuss on Wednesday. If you don't have any questions, well and good. Then you can complete the config by Friday. Then by Saturday and Sunday, you can show me the config. Then we can move on. So in this way, and for each Saturday and Sunday, we're planning like 2 hours of session. Whereas on Wednesdays, it would be around 1 or 1.5 hour session. So we are planning for like 1 to 1.5 months it should take, Maggie. To answer your question, it should take around 1 to 1.5 months of time to complete this course, provided you guys are giving the correct time and you guys are spending enough time on the system. Does that answer your question, Maggie?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you.
Sunday, do we get any certification on real time after this?
See, if you are certified in Employee Central module, then which comes from your SAP, that certification itself is enough. Whereas our certification, of course, I think I can check with Kumar, but yeah, if you have the Employee Central certification, that's more important than any other certification. But to back up that certification, you need to have the knowledge which you'll be gaining out of this course.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so what do you guys think that is that the right way to follow? Like Monday, Tuesday, we'll catch up. Then again on Wednesday, so that you'll have 2 days of time, and after Wednesday again you'll have 2 days of time to work on the config. I think that's more feasible, but I'm open to suggestions if you have any.
Sandeep, actually, I'm thinking of like Wednesday, it is evening or morning? In the evening, I have office. My office time, evening. Okay.
Evening at what time?
Like my office timing is 12:30 to 9:30. So.
Okay, but now that we are working virtually, is it possible for you to take out like 1 hour of time?
1 hour can be possible. 1.5 hours is possible on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think 1 hour should be fine. Maybe if you have any questions on Wednesday, first we can start with you, and then definitely you can have access to the recording as well. So I think that should be fine, right? On Wednesday, we will not be discussing anything much. We'll be just looking at the issues or challenges.
Okay, it's fine then. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Great.
What about other guys? What do they think? Or
yeah,
what do they feel? Perfect. Yeah, Sonia, go ahead.
Yeah, so Sandeep, do we have anything to do now this Monday, Tuesday?
I can tell you a few things. We will. I'll let you know.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Any more questions? Sunil, Krishna, Madan.
I think most of the questions
Nothing, sir.
Okay.
Questions.
Nothing, sir.
Okay. So to answer now Sonia's question, on Wednesday when we catch up, as I said, we will be looking into the system access and about the workbooks, how to prepare the workshop, and then we'll be discussing the requirement. But in the meanwhile, I would like you to brush up on few things, on few topics. That is, now I would like to know about the system architecture. That is, when I say system architecture, that is complete SAP success factors thing and overview level, not in detail. Like now, if you recollect, if I have to log into a customer instance, how do I do that? What is the link that I have to follow? Correct. And now in SAP success factors, we have data centers. Correct. How many data centers do we have? And how can we log into different data centers, customer instances? Now, let's say we have around data centers. How the customer instances are allocated, or how these data centers are allocated to the customer, on what basis? Just try to think about this information, about this topic, and how customers are differentiated. Now, in one data center, there could be 100 or 10 clients will be storing the information in one data center, correct? So how that information is differentiated, or how different clients' instances are maintained? What is that unique identifier? So just think about these things, and we'll discuss. Now, there was one more question about that. Once we create a user ID in provisioning, they'll be known as super admin. But what are the additional permissions they will be getting in the instance? Think about these things. And apart from this, I would like you to give me a brief explanation about foundation objects, like what are the foundation objects in AC. Of course, again, we as a group will be discussing, but from your side, when someone asks you about foundation objects, what is that first thing comes to your mind, or how can you explain that, or how would you explain that to a client? Come up with the foundation objects topic in detail, and then we'll discuss these things and we'll start the business requirement. So next week we'll discuss the business requirement. Once that is done, the next Saturday, Sunday, we'll discuss the solution, and after that you can start configuring it. Okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
Does this answer your question, Sonia?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, guys, then if you don't have any questions or anything to discuss, we can call it a day. So before I close the session, once again, I'm just checking with you guys. Any questions or anything that you would like to discuss?
No, sir.
No, so we meet on Wednesday?
Yes.
What time, sorry? What time once?
It should be 6 or 6:30 p.m. your India time.
Okay. We are going to get the connection, or how we get the intimation?
Yeah, Kumar will follow up. Will be in touch with you for the timing and for the link for the meeting. He'll share those details with you.
Sure, sir. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Okay, guys. Thanks for your time. Thanks for attending the session.
Thanks, Mr. Sandeep.
Hope and speak to you on Wednesday.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Sandeep.
Thank you, Sandeep.